Mrs. Lincoln, where she writes that Abraham's great hobby was collecting cats. So there you go. Remember 2 things about Lincoln today. If you learn nothing else, he is a great wrestler and a great cat lover. Very important details. Tell your friends. They'll be impressed with your knowledge. Now, all those things make this probably my personal favorite room because to me it really feels the most like the Lincoln home. This is where the entire family could share a room together, spending their time as a family unit, playing games, driving each other crazy, getting work done. All the family stuff really centers right here. One more detail I do like to point out to give you that sense of family bonding here. If you look on the mantelpiece there, the little wooden shelf, underneath those glass jars, you may see some holes poked in the wood there. That is where the nails were for the Lincoln's Christmas stockings. So there you are, little detail there. And so that is basically this room here. That is most of the first floor, in fact. The only room on this floor we have not yet been to is the kitchen. It's behind the dining room. We're going to come to that at the end of our tour today, but that was the entire house for most of the years they were here. You understand why they wanted to expand as the family was growing with those rambunctious boys running around. So we're going to head upstairs next and see what they added on top. But any final questions from down here before we head upstairs? Yes?
Wallpaper, drapes,
Wallpaper,
original?
carpeting, drapes are modern replicas of old patterns. They are as close as we can get. We actually have to take a lot of educated guesses with those. Not a lot of original patterns survive. We have some testimonies of people that were here. We have these drawings that were done in 1860 that help us recreate the patterns and things and find patterns that are closely matching. But there is only one room in the house where we know exactly what the wallpaper did look like. I will point that out when we get there as well. But assume educated research guesswork, otherwise authentic patterns that would have been available back then. But they are modern.
And the casings around the curtains?
Yes, those are made of brass. They are antique as well. They are not the exact ones the Lincolns own, but they are the same kind. You can again see them in the drawings here. They are made of brass, yes. Yeah?
What is that like white thing?
Oh, that's just a modern edition. That's just one of our systems there. We have, electricity, air conditioning, heating and monitoring systems, things like that. That's not something the Lincolns would have had back then. But we have not taken anything out from the original structure. We put in the modern systems, incorporating them with all the old original structure. So the house itself is still in there. All right, well, you're going to follow me as we proceed onwards next. We're going to head upstairs, and you're going to follow me then. But as we climb the steps, I'm going to ask you to hold the handrail for safety. Steps are a little bit steep, but also this hand railing here is original to the home. And the handrail on the steps is the only artifact we want you to touch. Not only that, it's something that Lincoln himself held every day. It's as close as you'll ever get to a handshake with him, so don't waste your chance. Now, once we are at the top of the steps, you are going to see the guest room on your left. The guest room has green wallpaper and is blocked by a rail. We can't walk into it, but you can poke your heads in. So get a good look in the guest room, and then I'll be waiting on the other side of the hallway where these wonderful railings disappear, and we have to stay on the blue carpet section.
What would this be for?
That is also a modern addition. That is just the box for the electric lighting. Yep, that is not,
Okay.
Lincolns would not have had that. Oh, good timing. Other tours coming in. We're heading upstairs.
So you'll leave everybody in there, please.
Hi, Mr. Lincoln.
My hand's just gonna slide all the way through it. Not even
He's only on
Lincoln might have touched this.
When Lincoln left the presidency, I wonder who lived it in here.
Blue carpets.
Yep,
Stand
I
on
know.
blue carpet.
Any other group someone touched?
I'm on the blue carpet.
What's the back of your feet?
Very low, yeah. A lot of furniture and just construction of the time is not made with people his height in mind. And notice a lot of the chairs are really low to the ground as well. Yeah.
Did anybody ever live in the house after them?
Yes, so the Lincoln family did still own the house, but when they moved out, they rented it to other families. A family called the Tiltons when they were in Washington, but then the Lincolns did fully plan to move back here after the presidency. That does not happen, of course. Assassination changes all that, but the Lincoln family does still own it. Then for about 20 more years, Robert Lincoln, the oldest son, continues renting the house to other families, and then in 1887, he realizes it should be preserved better, and that's when he gives it to the state of Illinois and has it turned into a historic site. So the Lincolns were the last owners of the house before it was given to be a government site. Yeah. All right. Any more? I think we're running on a few more. We should have some more. We're off the top of the steps at least? Okay, wonderful. Got room for everybody in here. Excellent. Well, remember this whole second floor is added later on to let the family expand. We can see big rooms, tall ceilings. They've got more than one bedroom as well. We have the guest room across the hallway. They can have a room for their visitors now. Very cozy. Have more of that horsehair furniture over there as well. But the room that we're standing in right now, this is the master suite. This is Abraham and Mary's room. And I call it a suite. It is 2 rooms. It goes back here behind me. We call this one up here Abraham's room, and the back one Mary's room. Now that does not mean they slept separately. They do share Abe's room most nights. They just keep all their personal items in the 2 different rooms. Abraham's clothes and things up here, and Mary's back there. But that room was occupied at night by 2 youngest boys, Willie and Tad. They share Mary's room. Willie and Tad sleep on a trundle bed. That's a pull-out bed, like a big drawer. They would have slept back there if they did at night there most nights. And if they are being rowdy, if they're having a hard time getting to bed, Mary can get up, go back there, and look after those kids and help them get to sleep. Now, if Mrs. Lincoln and the boys are back there, Abraham would have a little bit of free time in this room. He will use that to work. This becomes his miniature office from home. Lincoln works from the desk over in that back corner, which I know is not too fancy. That desk is a little small, a little cramped for a big guy like Lincoln. But I have to say, that is my favorite item in the entire home. That is Abe Lincoln's original writing desk. He owned it for over 15 years, writing letters, speeches, law cases, personal thoughts there. I am sure that some, if not most of you, have heard of that famous Lincoln speech, the House divided speech, right? A house divided against itself cannot stand, which we think he did right on that desk there. So a very good piece of history in the corner back there. And besides that item there, the other 2 big furniture pieces on that side of the room are Lincoln's as well. The dresser under the mirror and big wardrobe or armoire in the corner, those are Abraham Lincoln's. Wonderful items, of course. But I have to say, when I walk in this room, the first thing I always notice is not the furniture. My eyes cannot help but go right to the walls. What do we think of this wallpaper?
Beautiful.
It's something, right? Oh, dragon? Yeah, it does. It looks a little wild, doesn't it? Like a lot of cool, wavy lines, big, bright patterns. That really bright shade of blue is called ultramarine, but it is a little bit busy, a little dizzying as well. Well, whatever you think of it, I mentioned it downstairs. This is that one room in the house where we do know exactly what the wallpaper was. A scrap of it was kept from this room, and we used that to find the entire thing and recreate it exactly. So this is what they saw every day. I don't know that I would have gotten a good night's sleep in this room. A little bit wild for me, but times and styles do change, of course. Pretty cool to see what they did back here. Got a question?
No, I was just pointing that to let him know later. Thank
Gotcha,
you.
yeah, of course.
Thank you.
No problem. Are there any questions here in Lincoln's bedroom?
Who are these photos of?
Yeah, those are 2 of Lincoln's personal political heroes, the men he kind of most wanted to emulate in his political career. We have Henry Clay and Daniel Webster, members of the Whig Party, former Secretary